There we go. Hello. First time chat. Oh, look at that. Hello. Hi, 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 hi. Ugh. Oh my god, there's so many like first time chat things. How does that make sense? Does that mean it's your first time chatting on this stream or the first time you've chatted on the channel? Because that wouldn't make any sense. Everyone's a first time chatter apparently. Lord knows what they've brought in since the last time I streamed. Diagwish Jake. So close. Will I be able to get a word in? It'll calm down. As the stream goes on, it'll calm down a little bit. But hi. How's everyone doing? Guys, please, no, not all at once. I don't... New streamer, who dis? It's been a while. You saw my mother the other day? What? I haven't even seen my mother in a while. It's been ages? Yeah, it has. I was sitting down and I was recording stuff. Well, I was trying to record something and I kept having audio issues. So I tried like 3 times and it didn't work. And then, I don't know, I mean, it applies to everything, but it's like you get in and it's like, okay, I'm hyped, I'm ready. Let's go. You put in so much energy and then when it doesn't work, it's like, oh, I lost all of that and it was such good footage. So you kind of just lose your energy for it. And I was like, I want to do something today. So here I am streaming. Why not? If I can't get a video out, I might as well just sit around and chat. Because I don't really have anything else to do today. It's always funny when people call me Mr. I. Hello, Mr. I. I'm supposed to be studying right now, but this is more important. Studying on a Saturday? It's the weekend! I like your glasses. Thank you! They're brand new. I got them this week. We went and got our eyes tested again recently, me and Evelyn. Because apparently you're supposed to get them tested every 2 years. I didn't know that. It had been like 3.5 since I got mine tested. And I was like, my glasses are fine. They work really well, so I don't know if I should get them tested or not. But we did. Or I meant, I didn't know if anything would change since I last got them tested. And apparently the lady said they did. Apparently one of my eyes has like a slight astigmatism in it now. I never really noticed. And they gave me these glasses and it's like, I think the prescription is slightly wrong. When I put on my other glasses the first time, it was like, oh wow, yes, this is what it's supposed to be. But when I put these on, it was like, I felt like I was like swimming and we like walked home and I got a little motion sick from them. And I was like, I'll give them a couple of days to settle in. And it's, whenever I take them off, it feels like my eyes go like, whoop. So they might be a little off. We can go back next week and talk to them about it. But yeah, I got new frames. I've wanted like slimmer frames for the longest time. I don't have my other glasses here with me, but the like thick black ones I wasn't really a fan of anymore. So I like these ones quite a bit. And I didn't want to go like full round either, because it I didn't want to be Barry Potter. Please fetch the feline. No. It's a moment. It's like a parent who gets to go to sleep and their kid stays asleep. It's like if he's not outside screaming for food, it's like that's a piece of joy in my life that I otherwise wouldn't get. So I'm keeping him away from me for right now. You have like tiny moments of peace before it hits like 5:36 p.m. and then he's like, my food should be on the plate right now. Astigmatism can change things. When I get new lenses, the ground seems too far away. Yes, exactly that. It was like walking and I felt like I had vertigo or something because I looked down. I was like, whoa, the ground seems so far away. So I'm giving them like a week to see if my eyes will adjust to them, or because right now they're better than they were. Just ordered some coffee from you. Can't wait to try it. Hell yeah. Thank you. Top of the morning. Coffee. I'm excited for you to try it as well. Everyone's been saying good things about it all the time. I mean, I know it's good because I helped find the right blend. I invented it. I'm a little late. That's okay. It's good to see a mod here at least, since I don't warn you guys ever that I'm going live and I don't stream that often, so the fact that any of you show up is great. Yes, go buy my coffee. I have few things in this world that I promote. And I definitely try and keep my promotions to a minimum because there's just too many things. You ever watch some YouTubers and they're like promoting something, or some streamers, and it's like, I mean, sure, get your sponsorships and get paid and everything. Yeah, make as much money as you can while you can, but sometimes it's just distracting. I feel like I've made enough money from my YouTube that I don't need to take many deals anymore, unless it makes sense. So it's like Cloak and Top of the Morning are like the only two things that I really promote these days. And then a couple of companies here and there, like NordVPN, I have a thing with for a few months because I use them all the time. The amount of stuff that comes out on American stores that we can't get here in the UK, like movies and stuff. Coke Zero? I was never sponsored by Coke Zero. I tried very hard. We reached out to them multiple times, like my agents reach out to them, and they just never got back to us because it's Coca-Cola and they have infinite money, and they're like, we don't need you, okay? Plus I had been promoting it non-stop anyway for free as a joke, so they were like, why would we pay you? I mean, I don't know. I never talked to them, but it was a fun time. It was a fun joke. But then coffee took over, and I don't want to promote like G Fuel or something and then also the coffee, because that makes no sense. If I'm going to promote stuff, I'd rather have them be like separated, like clothing, beverages, games, services. I do turn down quite a few brand deals though. Some of them come to us and they're like, here's $1 bajillion. And I'm like, yeah, but your game is shit. I'm like, sure, I could do a lot with that money, but at the same time, I don't want to promote your game. And they're almost exclusively all mobile games all the time. They have so much money. It's absolutely wild. So, please buy my coffee instead. It's a product that I worked very hard on and I 100% believe in, and it's something that I have a very big hand in, and it's not just somebody else's product that I'm like sticking at the start of a video. It's a very important product to me and I'm very happy with it. And it also helps pay for like bigger things if I ever have to do them. I have a thing planned for before the end of the year that I want to do that I've been kind of like hinting at. We have like a tentative date right now, but I don't want to say what it is or like a time frame, because then people expect it, and then if it doesn't happen because something breaks or things have to be pushed a little bit, then no one gets yelled at. but I think that's going to cost me a lot of money to make. Thank you for the gifted subs. I feel bad with people gifting subs and then I don't show up to stream. So if you don't want to gift any subs or you don't want to sub, that's totally fine. That's well within your rights to not do. I just fair warning, if you're doing that, I don't show up here very often. And I don't want you to waste your money. Halfway through the year, I know. Where's time going? What's the plan for today? I just want to hang out. I don't really have like a huge amount of time. Evelyn and I are going to go see Top Gun tonight, which I'm very excited for. I don't give two shits about Top Gun at all. I don't even think I've seen the full original movie. I just know it has a lot of legacy. But we kept seeing trailers for the new one, and every time I saw the trailer, I was like, that just looks fucking amazing. As someone who likes making stuff and always thinks about like the behind the scenes and how stuff is put together and acting and shots and production and everything, I was like, how the hell did you get half of these shots for the movie? It turns out all you need is Tom Cruise and $1 bajillion to do it. But I'm very excited to see it. It looks cool. And Tom Cruise is one of those actors who it's like, you hear so many things about him as a person. How many of them are true? I have no idea. Like Scientology and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, but your movies are absolutely incredible. I don't think there's anyone acting right now that puts as much effort into the movies they're in. So as an actor, I'm always floored by him. He's a really, really good actor, and he does so much of the stuff himself. And he's like one of the few truly great like action stars left in Hollywood that does everything like legit. It costs a fuck ton of money to do, but have I seen the Inside outtakes? Yes. I watched them as soon as I woke up. I woke up and I saw that Bo had like stuff up on his story that he released it, and then it was like an hour, so I just sat down and watched it at breakfast. And I've been listening to the deluxe album since. It was so much so that when Inside came out, I was so floored by it and the creativity behind it, and got so inspired to like try and make something myself that I like went away and then made 15 months. Because I was like, that's Bo's interpretation of what he did over the pandemic. And then I made 15 months to be like, here's an insight into like what my 15 months of this pandemic had looked like. Obviously I didn't put everything in there because some of it was like, I don't want the world poking at this aspect of my life. But then I did that. I did 15 months, and then I did the talking to my twin brother video. And then the outtakes came out, and I was like, man, I'm so inspired again. I want to make something again. So I recorded another one of those talking to myself videos yesterday. I don't know when it'll go up, whenever it's edited, because those take a while. Maybe tomorrow if it's done. But those are so fun to record. I like sat down, me and Evelyn do these things where we go to like a coffee shop like twice a week lately, where it's like if we want to read a book, if she wants to study Japanese, if I want to like write stuff for like ego projects or whatever, or I want to write stuff for a different type of video, then we've been doing that more often lately, and it's been really nice. It's kind of like go to the place because you want to get work done, because if I sit here and try and do it, then I'll never get it done. So I like sat down, and I was at the Inside outtakes came out, and I sat down and I was like, I want to do another one of those talking to myself videos. I was like, what will it be about? And I just start writing, and I was like, oh, easy, done. So I recorded that yesterday. I feel so left out sometimes during these pandemic stories because I went to basic training right at the beginning of it and came back home in August when everything was opening back up again. I mean, I don't know if having FOMO about pandemic stories is really what you should be like Like, it's not something to romanticize, I don't think. A lot of the stories is like awful shit. Like I said, my version of the pandemic, I put it into 15 months, but that was miserable. So many health issues and trying to get to the bottom of so many things, and like depressive episodes and not knowing what I wanted to do with my life. Like, I don't think that that's anything to feel like you missed out on. Most people who went through the pandemic had a horrible time. Even though like YouTube was booming, YouTubers' views and revenue and everything went up. Like, we benefited from the pandemic weirdly, and I still like wasn't happy during it. So I mean, I wasn't like miserable. I get very hyperbolic when I talk about stuff. I was talking to friends recently on a podcast that'll come out whenever it's out, but I don't think they've talked about it yet, so I don't want to say it either. But we were talking about certain like shows or whatever, and I always talk in like, I'm like a Sith Lord. I talk in such absolutes. I'm like, this is amazing or this is fucking garbage, because I think it's just more fun to say it that way for people on the internet, because it's like either everyone agrees with you or everyone gets mad, and it's kind of fun to like poke the bear every now and then. So I'm always like, everything was miserable or everything was fantastic, because it's boring to just say like, yeah, it was fine. It's fine. No one remembers stuff that's fine. So just know that every time I talk about stuff, if I say something was miserable or trash or incredible and fantastic, usually I'm like swaying the pendulum quite far either side. The Obi-Wan Kenobi show? I'm gonna do it. It's fucking garbage. I don't like it at all so far. Obviously it's not garbage. Please take into account what I had just said. But Star Wars fans, like anime fans or something, it's just so fun to kind of like piss them off, because everyone has such strong opinions. My thing though is that I'm able to back up why I don't like something. I never just say I don't like something and then move on. It's usually for various different reasons. The Obi-Wan show I don't like because there's a lot of like pacing issues in it. I feel like the acting is kind of subpar from almost everybody in it except Ewan McGregor. And it's mainly because it's not because they're bad actors, it's because the characters are all kind of like paper thin. And they're just kind of there to look cool or to like drive plot, but there's not a whole lot to them. And then stuff looks kind of cheap in the show, like the lighting and everything. I feel like a while back it would have looked amazing and everything would have been fine, but I feel like the quality of TV shows over the last few years has gotten so unbelievably high, with like stuff like Stranger Things just came out as well, and it's kind of hard not to compare like two modern shows coming out at the same time, but the production quality in Stranger Things is nuts, and the camera work is phenomenal, and like the pacing and the editing is all really good. But the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, it's just kind of like, it's full of holes everywhere. And it's fine. It's not as amazing as I had hoped. Like, you have Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader coming back. You have Ewan McGregor and Hayden coming back to reprise the roles. And they're my favorite characters in that whole franchise, because I grew up, I'd never seen the original Star Wars when I was a kid. And I grew up with 1, 2, and 3. So I don't have a hatred for them like everybody else does. And I actually think they're really fun. And episode 3, I absolutely love. I think it's a great movie. So I love those characters, and seeing them come back, I was super excited for. And I'm like, you didn't really do a whole lot with them yet, though. So we'll see where it goes. But is it like 6 episodes? So we're like halfway through it already. I don't know. I like the Jedi and I like the Sith stuff, but I'm not too much of a fan of like bounty hunter stuff, so I'm not too crazy about Mandalorian. I just like how well made that is, but I'm not too crazy about like the story. So when they're like doing Kenobi and Darth Vader stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, hell yeah, we're going back to like the stuff that I really relate to in Star Wars. And it's not really like living up to my expectations. Yep, I watched Stranger Things. I think I'm like Stranger Things fatigued, because season 1 I absolutely loved. I think it was amazing. And then 2 came out and I didn't really like it. And then 3 I didn't really like either, but it was much better than 2. And I was still like, oh, season 1's still the best though. And then season 4 came out, and even though it looks incredible and everyone's like, God bless Sadie Sink for carrying the whole show. She's an unbelievable actress. But I don't know, I'm just kind of fatigued on the characters, and there's too many of them now, and it's just too much going on. And there's like certain things happening where I'm like, I love Joe Keery. I think he's an amazing actor as well. And they're kind of like sidelining him for this season, where he just has one-liners all the time. He's like, I'm always the babysitter. And it wasn't until like the last episode that he felt like he had stuff to do instead of just kind of hanging around in the background. And Maya Hawke is a really good actress as well, but her character this season is kind of just like one-liners too. It's like somebody says something and she always just has like a sarcastic thing to say. And I'm like, that's fine, but I feel like that's all you're doing. And like Gaten Matarazzo is such a good actor as well, and he's kind of, every scene is just like him and Steve having like an improv, like it's really fun, but I feel like that's all they're doing is they're like, what? I said the thing. You don't want me to say the thing? And it's like they're walking upstairs as they're like saying stuff. So I'm like, I really, really, really want to like it because I like a lot of the elements that are in it. But it's, I don't know, it feels like there's just too much to it now. There's too many characters, there's too many like small little plot lines going on. I absolutely didn't give a shit about the Russian like side plot that was going on. I don't really care about Hopper as a character anymore. I think they kind of ruined him in season 3, and then this season is like, yeah, there's a lot of like weird shit happening to get him back into like everybody else, like back to Hawkins stuff. And you have like Joyce and Murray. Murray's like the super cynical, like conspiracy theorist. Everybody's listening to us. We can't do anything. The KGB are bad. And then he's just like, oh, we're going to Russia? Yeah, sure, no problem. Let's just get 40 grand out of the bank and fly this plane all the way across. Like, it's fun when it's happening, but it feels like, why is it happening? Why are these characters doing this? It feels so opposite to what they were doing last season. I mean, I'm looking at it way too critically. Obviously, the show is made to just kind of like, it's made to like vibe out to. Like, you just sit back and you just have fun, and you just see characters that you enjoy kind of interact with each other. And I'm obviously just looking at it way too critically because it's still really, really well made. And I like that they're finally like, they're finally trying to do something with the Upside Down. Because otherwise it's always just there, and like, oh, bad guy comes from there. But the bad guys have always been so shit all the time. Season 1, it was fine because it's just a monster. So it's like, yeah, the monster clearly doesn't really have a will of its own. But as they try to bring in like actual like cerebral like thinking enemies into it, they've always kind of fell flat for me. And then this season is like, yeah, the bad guy's cool, but he looks fucking terrible. Like, do something with him. My philosophy whenever you're making a character, or whenever you're trying to do something with a character, especially a character that you're trying to make a villain, is like their silhouette needs to be good. You need to have a really good silhouette. Like, imagine a character always propped down in front of you. There's no light on them, but you prop a light behind them. So you just see the outline of them, their silhouette. And what does that look like? And Vecna looks fucking shit. Like, just from an actual character standpoint. And when he's in like his tentacle thing, he looks cool. I'm like, yeah, do more of that. Give him horns, give him wings, give him something, instead of him just being like a bald man. He's just so boring to look at. And have you noticed that every time he's doing something, he always like says people's names? It's like, oh, Max, where have you been, Max? You don't know what you're doing, Max. It's like, we get it. You're menacing. Cool. Like, do something. No, there's nothing wrong with being bald. It's just for like a menacing bad guy, I want more out of him. Like, you can do anything with him. The Mind Flayer was cool. Like that, the Mind Flayer is like the big one with all the tentacles and like the like oval shaped head, right? And I really liked that because they always used to show them in silhouette. Like they were in the clouds and then red lightning would flash through and you would just get a glimpse for like their shadow. And I'm like, instantly recognizable. Super cool. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Vecna design. But the show overall was, again, you can tell that the people who are making it really care about what they're making, because the shot composition is really good. The lighting is always really good. A lot of my stuff is kind of like plot related, and I feel like the episodes are a bit too long now, because each episode is like an hour 20 minutes, and then the last episode is an hour 40, and I feel like you're not doing enough with that time to warrant why it's that long. And I didn't vibe with the 11 storyline, because I feel like Millie Bobby Brown's a good actress, and I feel like all she's doing is kind of doing a sulk face and crying for like every single scene. It's like, you should tap into that because they're good at that every now and then, but if your whole character is that, then you're just kind of, I don't know, there's not enough ups and downs in it. It's all kind of just at the same level all the time. And I feel like that's what's fatiguing me on it, because every episode I felt like I was just kind of like blasting through them. And then the last episode I was like, this is what I want. This is a good episode. This is really, really good. And it wasn't until, because a lot of the stuff that happened at the end of it, like, I'm not going to talk about spoilers, but a lot of the like plot twists in it, I was like, yeah, duh. I was like, I feel like everyone watching knows what's going to happen. I feel like nothing in it is like hugely surprising to anybody. Me and Evelyn were like calling stuff like 2 or 3 episodes in, and then I feel like when it's happening, I'm like, yeah, we get it. I don't know, maybe I'm just too old. I'm too old and cynical for it now. I feel like the show is made for like teenagers and people who just want to have fun and have something to watch. And that's totally fine. But yeah, the Eddie character I really, really loved. He was a really good addition to this season. And I feel like the guy who's playing him is such a good actor. I can't believe I had never really like seen him in much stuff before this, because he's so good. Look, I just like making things. I like pulling stuff apart. I like seeing why things are the way they are. But the thing about being critical on stuff is that whenever I try to make stuff, then people have a higher bar for it then, because of the stuff that I'm saying. So I kind of like dig myself into a hole. So we'll see. We'll see if I have the talent to pull story stuff off or not in any sort of like quality fashion. And if I can't, then fuck me, right? I'm wrong about everything. Arcane was awesome. I wish I had a team of people and the budget to be able to create a story with those people, because that show is unbelievable. Because if you get me to care about League of Legends stuff, even though I really, really don't care about League of Legends and never ever will, but the fact that I was able to watch that show and be so immersed in it and have fun with it says a lot about the characterization in that show. Plus, it was just really pretty to look at. Love, Death and Robots? Yeah, season 3 was good. Season 1 was really good, and then season 2 had a couple of good ones, but I felt like it was more miss for me. But season 3 was pretty good. There was a lot of really, really good ones in there. Heartstopper? No, I haven't watched it. This is the moment where everyone's going to ask me about every single show that they've watched that they love, and they're going to ask for my opinion on it because you want me to say that it's amazing so you can feel validated on you liking it. But there's a lot of shows that I haven't seen. I just don't have time lately. There's just so many things coming out that I'm trying to like selectively pick and choose what I'm watching more. Like, there's so many animes that I want to get into as well. Spy Family is like a big one that people are talking about now, and the premise doesn't really entice me, but there's too many things to watch. Did you finish Berserk? Yep. I really liked Berserk. It's my favorite manga now. I liked it so much that it left such a massive hole in my life when it was done. Because nothing else is at all like it. Like Dark Souls and stuff, sure, but I've played those to death by now. But after finishing it, it was like everyone keeps recommending these other mangas, being like, oh, if you like that, you like this, because there's so much gore and violence in it. I'm like, that's not why I read Berserk. Is that what you got out of Berserk? I don't think you read it properly. I don't know, Berserk is amazing. I'm sad that it's over. Morbius? Oh, I watched Morbius. PJ and Sophie came over to watch something with us, and we were like, should we watch Morbius? Is now the time? Because I'm always like, I'll watch it before like jumping in on all the memes and making fun of it and whatever. And I watched it. It's not even like so bad it's good. It's just so bland and boring. And that's worse. The only thing that it had going for it was that it had good sound design. And if... Like, sure, I'm just biased towards sound design anyway, but if that's the only good thing I have to say about your movie, then I don't think you made a very good movie. Because I have like a proper like home theater here with like a proper surround sound system and everything. And that echolocation scene when he does it the first time was unbelievable. It was really cool. But that was it. Everything else is trash. Matt Smith was great. Matt Smith was so good in it that he should have been Morbius. And just acted the exact same. Because it's like you take this character Morbius, who, I mean, most people don't really care about. Even the people in the Spider-Man universe don't really care about Morbius. Sure, he's cool and all, but he's not like one of the bigger ones that everyone's like, I can't wait for the Morbius movie. And then you make a movie about him and you make him so bland and boring. It's like, why did you even do this? Who sat down and was like, Morbius, that's the one. That's where everyone's gonna lose their shit. And then you make it and it's so boring and I'm so indifferent towards it that I'm like, why? Why did you do this? There's so much money in the world and you put so much of it towards that movie. So dumb. Make a TV show out of it or something. Yeah, maybe I got morbed. Oh, it's a Blade alternative. Oh, that would make sense. Because Blade is coming back, right, with Mahershala Ali. Is that how you say his name? And he'll be in the MCU. So I guess they're trying to like make Blade go up against Morbius at some point. I see. But seriously, why Morbius? Did I see Multiverse of Madness? I did, but I didn't like it that much. I feel like it has a very poor first half and then a fun second half. And I wish the start of the movie was as good as the second half. It also just makes no fucking sense. There's like two massive sections of that movie that are so badly written that I can't believe they made it into a Sam Raimi movie. And one of them's super early. Well, it's like they're not really spoilers because one of them's like right at the start to like set up Act 2 to get Wanda to where she needs to go, but it's like, I'll never tell you anything. You'll have to do whatever to me. Oh, I'm being tortured. And then she's like, I could kill your friends. And he's like, yeah, it's up in the mountain. Yeah, if you just wanted to go up there, yeah, I'll show you. Yeah, I'll go with you and show you exactly where it was. Right after they destroyed the fucking book. Oh my God, that's the dumbest shit ever. It makes no sense. It's like, oh, these 4 characters that I actually don't know anything about are being held in the air. Oh, fuck. And then the lady's like, no, you can't do it. You can't destroy the book. You're too important. You're the Sorcerer Supreme. And then she goes over and destroys it. And then Wong's like, oh, the sacrifice. And he's like, and it's up in the mountain, by the way, over there. Yeah. Fucking dumb. And then it's like, I don't have any control over my powers. No, you do. Oh, right. I didn't think about it like that. That's totally true. I'm going to go use my powers now. So dumb. Why? Who wrote that? It's like, I get what you're going for. I don't mind like where these things end up, but it's like you have to put the work in to get to those moments. You can't just do that, and especially like back to back. Oy. But visually, it looked great. The cameos are fun. I'm not one to like get all like, oh, the movie was amazing because this person was in it and then this person showed up. If it makes sense for the movie, then it's cool. Like, it was a fun moment. But I really wish it was the horror movie that they wanted to make originally. Like they said originally it was going to be Marvel's first horror movie in the MCU, and they wanted to get super dark with it. And you can see like little bits of it here and there. Like Wanda walking down the hallway after them, so good. And then that like first dreamwalk sequence where the picture like looks right at the camera, so good. Or looks right at her and then she looks at the camera. That stuff's awesome. I wanted more of that. And like the musical fight scene and it felt like at some point just FromSoft took over and started directing the movie, because that stairway up into the clouds. I was like, man, where was this stuff? The cool cape he gets. I'm trying to be like vague. All that stuff was unreal. I'm like, why not do more of that? Yeah, Elizabeth Olsen was unbelievable in it though. She was, God, she's such a good actress. She's so convincing. Morbius is great in Doctor Strange too. All right. I know I said I like being hyperbolic, but let's not fucking throw our brain out the window. No, I haven't seen Moon Knight. I heard very mixed things on it, and I just, again, too many things. I will say, something that we watched 2 nights ago was The Innocents. I think another thing about me is that I'm getting kind of tired of like stuff retreading a lot of the same paths again, over and over and over again. It feels like we're watching a lot of the same stuff just with like a different skin all the time. But I've been really big into like original kind of stuff recently, and it's so few and far between. But a movie that came out recently, or not recently actually, it came out a while ago I think, but I'd been waiting for it for a while, and then suddenly it was like, wait, it's out? Fuck, we need to watch it. It's called The Innocents, and it's a Norwegian movie about kids who get superpowers and how they deal with superpowers. But it's not like a them floating in the air, throwing cars at one another and a big climactic fight at the end. It's just a really, really well-made sort of like subdued drama about that. And the kid actors in it are, I couldn't believe how good they were. Like, again, you watch something like Obi-Wan Kenobi, and the kid who's playing Leia, I can't take seriously because, I mean, it's a kid being a kid. And I don't really expect them ever to really be good actors, because that shit's hard. But then you see kids in like a movie like The Innocents, and it's like, what the hell? What's the Norwegian school of acting like? That these kids are so crazy good. Sounds like Chronicle. It's like Chronicle, but less like CG heavy. There's less of that like. It's not so much about the powers. It's about how the kids figure out what's right and wrong with these powers. Because as you're a kid and you're growing up and you learn right and wrong, and you like throw a stone at a window and it's like, oh, you learned that that's wrong, and like you never do it again. But it's like, if you have superpowers, what does that mean for a kid? So it's really, really good. It's not for everybody though, because it's a very dark movie. Like right at the beginning, one of the things, this isn't a spoiler or anything, but one of the things, just to prep you for what the movie's like, one of the things is that the kid picks up a cat and drops it down a flight of stairs, just to be like, what can I get away with kind of stuff. And it's like, it's not like a sort of like, we'll hide some of the stuff. It's like, it's full on where me and Evelyn kind of like had to turn away from the screen and was like, I can't. It was just so realistic that it was miserable. But I've never been that nervous watching a movie in a very long time. What's the movie? It's called The Innocents. Not innocence like, oh, kids have innocence. Like someone who's innocent, the plural of that. Multiple innocent people, the innocents. But it's not for everybody, and it's because it's Norwegian as well. I know a lot of people probably don't want to watch like a movie where you have to read subtitles all the time. Although I feel like most people watch stuff with subtitles on anyway, even in your own language these days. So, but if you, I don't know, I fucking loved it. It had me on the edge of my seat the whole way, and it felt fairly original for this current landscape. Something else that we watched recently, which everybody seems to have been watching because word of mouth has been so strong with it, is Everything Everywhere All at Once. And it's so weird how I went to see Doctor Strange and was kind of like, it was fine. It was like, it had its ups and downs. And then you watch Everything Everywhere, and that's like a multiverse movie done like super in depth. And I can't believe a movie like that exists. I came out of it and was like, that was without doubt, like immediately one of the best movies I'd ever seen. It's so well structured. The acting is unreal in it. It's so goofy and over the top, and has kind of like the sci-fi weirdness to it that I'm just attracted to anyway, because sci-fi is like my favorite sort of genre of stuff. If you can mix horror in there as well, that'd be great. But God, I can't believe like that movie makes sense at one point. Like, there's a couple of scenes in it where, I mean, anyone who's seen it knows what scene I'm kind of like thinking of, because you have to do something silly you have to do something weird to your body to hook into another version of yourself in another multiverse. And they do a really, really, really weird thing at one point. It involves a butt plug, and that's all I'd say. And it's just the fucking wackiest shit ever, and I can't believe it made it into the movie. It's so fucking fun. But then, like, it has so much heart to it as well. Like, the family drama to it is just, it's so really, really well done that I, like, cried 2 or 3 times, I think, watching it. It was incredible. And I can't wait to watch it again. I don't think it's out digitally yet. But yeah, go watch that movie. If any of you have seen Swiss Army Man, the one with Paul Dano and like dead Daniel Radcliffe, where he's like, he sits on Daniel Radcliffe's corpse and like uses him to fart to get across the water. It's a really weird movie, but they're the same people who made this movie, I think. So it was just such a wacky adventure, and I couldn't stop laughing. There's so many scenes in it that shouldn't work at all. Like scenes where there's like 2 characters as a rock talking to each other, and all of the emotion is done through text. I'm like, how did you make me feel emotional with just that on screen? It's such a crazy testament to how good those filmmakers are. But yeah, all the actors are really good too. And it just deals with like interesting stuff, like an Asian family and like them living in America and like what it means to be like culture versus like the future of like where the culture of their family is going, and like old versus new, and bridging that sort of modernity gap. It's really interesting. Phenomenal movie. Go see it. And it's made by A24, who never miss. The publishing house. Every time I see a trailer for a movie, and if it says A24 at the start of it, I'm gonna love that movie. They're the best publishing house in the film industry right now, I think. My dream would be to make something that A24 publish, because that would mean that I have something good enough for A24. But a man can dream. But I was going to say as well, yeah, the other amazing thing that I watched that was wholly original. Well, I don't know if it's wholly original because it might not be. But Severance is another TV show that is... Oh, I can't believe we got Severance, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and The Innocents this year. Unreal. Severance is a really good TV show as well. You should watch it. The way that TV show looks is like exactly what I love to look at. And it's one of the most intense things ever. Anyway, those are the things I've been watching and my unasked for opinions on them. Actually, people did ask, never mind. Yeah, I also wish Severance wasn't just Apple TV, because I feel like it's almost doing it a disservice, because Apple are so kind of crap at promoting their stuff, and not everyone has access to it. It's not like a Netflix where most people have it, or maybe not for much longer, because everyone hates Netflix these days. Oh yeah, The Boys season 3 came out. I haven't watched it yet. Or at least some episodes on it. Any Bloodborne tips? Just started. Have fun. I'd say try and learn as much of the game as you can as you're playing it and what's happening around you, but don't be afraid to look stuff up. There's a lot of stuff about, like, I don't know why since Elden Ring came out that it was like, oh, you just looked that up, or you just saw what weapon was good, and then you just picked what everyone else was doing. And I'm like, that's literally all the FromSoft games have been. And they're designed that way. Like, even FromSoft themselves were like, yeah, we left stuff purposely vague so people in the community would go on the internet and share information with each other. So that's how it's meant to be played. So have fun with it. Best game ever made. Oh yeah, we got the Resi 4 remake trailer. Looks really good. I hope that it's as good, if not... I just hope it's not bad. Because Resi 2 remake was really good. Then the 3 remake was quite a bit lower in quality to me. So I'm hoping that 4, since they said the Resi 2 team are still working on it, I hope that 4 is good as well. But they're changing a lot about it, which could work out really well or really poorly. Because there's a lot of stuff that doesn't really age that well in Resi 4. Like the damsel in distress not being able to do anything for herself, so you shove her in a bin while you do all the fighting. There's even like being able to like point your gun up at her or like move your camera up while she's on top of a ladder to look up her skirt, and then she's like, hey! Like all of that stuff doesn't... Like that does not translate well in current society. So all of that stuff they're kind of changing and having, like, there was a lot of issues with how accurate the Spanish was, or how much the people saying it were actually Spanish speaking people and things like that. I personally don't know because I didn't really look into it much, but I think they're trying to like do it legitimacy this time. But the thing is, like, I feel like with a lot of these remakes, I'm like, you kind of have to do something different, because otherwise it's like, why are you remaking it other than to just put a fresh coat of paint on it? And I mean, sometimes that's fine as well, but it's just, when it supersedes the original, it's a little weird. So it's like if Resi 4 wants to do something slightly different, then maybe you end up with 2 versions of it that people like. Because the original is always still there. Like, you can always go back and play it anyway. And Resi 4 still holds up incredibly well today, so if the remake is bad, we still have the really good original. Doesn't really matter. Because that was the thing with the Shadow of the Colossus remake, that everything was like to a T almost identical to the original. But then stuff like Wander's face in it didn't look right, and when he was running around, there was none of that dynamicism. So it felt a little too like shallow in some places. And it feels like they didn't do enough to kind of like change certain aspects of it, which maybe they should have. I don't know. It's tricky because if you change too much, then the original fans are going to get pissed and then you're going to get shit all over on. God damn it. Hold on. Does it work? Or is it still broken? We're back. Can you still hear music? Oh yeah, that's... Yeah, the volume was off on it. I'm having a lot of issues. Okay, you hear music good too. Good. See, this is what I'm saying. I said it at the start of the stream for anyone who wasn't here that I tried to... No music? Shit. I tried to record today and it didn't work. Because I had a ton of like issues with my audio interfaces. It's really weird. Hold on. This might break things again. I hate it. I hate it. Hold on. I have no idea. If the music's playing, great. If not, it doesn't matter. It's just music. But yeah, my Go XLR has been like fucking up on me, my audio interface, and it's not so bad because my audio is like on a different amp for like music and stuff, and for like my headphones. But when for some reason the Go XLR keeps like plugging itself in and out every now and then, it'll just reset. So I think it might be fucked. I think it might be broken. I've heard a lot of people having issues with it lately. So it every now and then it'll just cut off, but it cuts out all the other USBs or like messes with them, so they all kind of have to reset. And it's not an update issue. I literally updated it like yesterday because it was causing so many issues still, and it's still doing it. So it's just annoying. It's annoying because it's interfering with recordings. Because if it does that and it cuts out, then Audition stops recording my voice, and then everything kind of has to like be stopped and then resynced again. It's a pain in the ass. So I might have to get rid of it and try something else. Because if I'm recording something that's short, it's fine because it probably will like be within the gaps. But if I'm recording something long, like There Is No Game or Stanley Parable or any of those things that like, or like Far Changing Tides or anything like that that takes considerable amount of time to do, then it's a huge pain in the ass. And especially since you lose stuff a little bit. So it's always like cutting in and out of editing then as well. So it's like long uninterrupted sections don't make it through. Because I've been on like a kick lately with doing that, like doing There Is No Game all in one video, doing Far Changing Tides all in one video. It's just been nice to kind of like do whole games in single videos for games that are like 3.5 hours or less. Yeah, it's kind of a pain in the ass. Whoa, Taco, thank you so much for the 50 gifted subs. Jesus. Again, I said it at the start. It's too late to say it now. But I feel bad when people are gifting so many subs because I don't stream here often enough. But if that's fine with you and you're just trying to do a nice thing, then thank you. I appreciate it. That's very sweet of you. But just know you don't have to do that. What happened to meme time? I don't know. The subreddit just kind of got a bit flat. It went through like a transitional phase where it was like the memes were kind of like poor and people were upvoting all the same kinds of stuff all the time. So it was like when I went to do one, it's like I did these memes already. And then if I upload an episode of it, then people just do the same memes that had just been uploaded because they think I'm going to do that again. So the memes just got really stale. And then it got really weird, and then the mods try to like save it and be like, okay, upload whatever you want. It doesn't always have to be Sean related. And then it became a bit of a mess, so they had to bring that back. And it's just in this really weird place where it's just, I don't know, it's just not that fun to peruse anymore. I don't know, because it's, people aren't really making memes based on like episodes that I'm doing, because that was kind of what I that's kind of why I wanted to do it. It was kind of, meme time was like once a week, and it was kind of doing a synopsis of what had happened on the channel that week. Like people would see like games from that week or stuff they hadn't seen, and maybe there's like memes from a certain video that they overlooked, and I was like, oh, that sounds like fun, I'll go back and watch that now. So it was a lot of like, it was kind of like a highlight of the week. And now people don't really do that anymore. I don't know, I'm looking at it right now and I'm like, like some of these things I'm like, I don't know why people are upvoting this. Like, if you recognize this flag, you deserve a veteran account, and it's the Papers, Please flag. So I'm like, like, sure, it clearly 4,500 people upvoted that, so people find some fun in it, but I mean, I can't really put that in a video because there's not a whole lot to talk about on it. I just go, yeah, that Papers, Please, and then you do a few lines, detained, like, I don't know. Feels like very forced content, doesn't it? Yeah, and Papers, Please isn't that old as well, yeah. And I redid it, so it's like, I don't know. There is a fun one, though, at the top right now. The meme of the astronauts, like, pointing the gun at him. Being like, it was always blah, blah, blah. And it's like, always has been. But somebody was like, it's like Wade saying, it was me the whole time as a lamp. And then me going, thanks. And I just shoot him in the face. Because that's from the episode. And that stuff's fun. I don't know. It's very hit or miss. And it's always subjective anyway at the end of the day. But I just felt like the memes just weren't really good enough to put into videos anymore. And that feels really mean to say because people are having fun on the subreddit, and clearly people like certain things and they upvote them anyway. I'm not saying you guys are bad, just that your memes are. I don't know, it felt like people were just kind of getting bored of the types of jokes that were showing up over and over and over again. So I want to make like good content rather than just retreading the same steps because people expected. I had my era doing that with Happy Wheels and Turbo Dismount and Skate 3 and all those things. Those things are series built upon like 3 or 4 jokes and then beaten into absolute fucking submission over and over and over again. But people just loved it. And like, I don't really want to do that too much anymore. I've been thinking about going back and redoing some series though. Because I did that with Papers, Please, and Nostalgia Week has kind of been like that. But it might be fun to go back to other games and like do them again. I don't know. Like some series are too big to do again. Some series I think they're so good the way they are. Like God of War. Like that first episode of God of War now is at 21 million views. And having a 2-hour like story-driven Let's Play video be 21 million views, right next to Undertale at 22 million views, that's really unheard of in this space. So, and like Detroit Become Human is at 17 million views. So I'm like, okay, people love those series so much, and they're like the quintessential series of them for a lot of people. So I'm like, I don't really want to redo those ones, but some other ones might be fun. I don't know, I'd have to have a look back through. Because you also have to kind of like get something else out of redoing it. Like people brought up the beginner's guide. I'm like, that might be fun to do again. To see if my thoughts... Because some games, it's been so long since I've played them that I completely forget what I said in those episodes. Especially being unmedicated for ADHD for most of my life. And like some stuff that I did back then, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I said. It was the same when I did Stanley Parable again. I was going through and I was getting all of the same endings again. And I was like, I don't fucking remember. And some people in the comments get mad being like, I thought Jack would remember this. Like, there is no game. Like, if some of the stuff was the same from the demo version of it years ago, I'm like, I don't remember. I play like 700,000 games within a year. How am I ever going to remember what I did? So I think just as like an experiment to upload something like the beginner's guide again, because there's so many high level topics in it and talking about like overcoming stresses and anxieties and depressions and maturing and figuring yourself out. And I'm like, I wonder if I would say the same things again, or if my opinions on certain things would change, or my outlook on certain things would change. Instead of seeing it as like a, well, you said this before and now you're saying this, so you're a hypocrite. But to shine a light on what it actually is, which is like, no, I've learned and grown and changed as a person, so now my opinion on this is this. And I think that videos like that are a good sort of barometer on those things, those experiences. Like what experiences in my life have changed me to be what I am now? Are my opinions better, worse? Who knows? But yeah, there's a bunch of like really good games on the channel that would be a shame to just see them done once and never again. Opinion on Stranger Things? You were gonna have to go back like 30 minutes to catch up on all of the what did I think of X conversations. I saw something that someone mentioned that I meant to say something about, and now it's just flown past, so I can't find it anymore. Can you guys hear my neighbor's lawnmower? The recent videos of Mark, Bob, and Wade are great. Thanks. I have a lot of fun doing those. I think as those guys have the podcast every week, they completely forget to go outside of that bubble. So I'm always the one that messages them being like, hey, do you want to play this together? And then it's like herding cats trying to get them in a room together to record anything because they don't reply succinctly. It's like 2 days go by and then everyone replies and it's like, yep. I'm like, okay, well the week is over now, so I guess we're doing next week. But I'm glad we get to play Prop Hunt again, because I've wanted to do Prop Hunt again for a while, but they just never seemed that interested in it when I brought it up. And then recently they were like, yeah. I was like, okay, cool, we're playing Prop Hunt. I'm really glad we got to. It's one of those things that we did like one session of it and I got 2 videos out of it, but you could definitely tell after like the first hour we were all like, yeah, this is why we kind of stopped playing this, because it's you only get a certain amount of content out of it before it gets really repetitive. But there's some really good jokes in those episodes. I was also lagging hard. Yeah, I spilled. I don't know if it's because Prop Hunt has changed or Gmod has changed, because before you would have to use Hamachi, which would be like you all joined a thing, and then Wade would start a server and we'd have to like right click his name in Hamachi, find his IP address, then go to Prop Hunt and then go to the console commands and then type in like join his IP, and it was like a really wonky way of doing it. But it worked for so long, so they never changed it. And now Prop Hunt is like, if he just joins a thing, we just right click him on Steam and join. So they made it normal again, or for the first time. So I don't know if it's that making things worse, or we did try a new version of Prop Hunt, because all the old versions we played haven't been updated since like 2014. So we were like, if we're playing it again, we should probably play the newer one. And maybe it was the newer one that broke it, because it was every time I went through a door, it had to load the area. But because my ping was high, I think it was the server just couldn't handle it or something. It was weird, because some games you can play on high ping and it's totally fine. It's laggy, but for a game like Prop Hunt, it wouldn't have mattered. Ping is not that big an issue. It's not like we're playing Valorant, but for some reason it didn't work. It was fine. It was kind of annoying every now and then, especially when I was a hunter and I felt like I was like, I wanted to like get in the zone with everything, especially that one round where they were like, Mark's in the meeting room, and they kept saying it, and I was like, I actually don't know where that is. So instead of being able to go look for it, I just kept lagging out all the time. But it was still fun. People still enjoyed the episode, and I still had a really good time. Devour was fun though. Yeah, Devour is really fun, but it feels like viewers of the channel just aren't really that into that game. Because I uploaded and I was like, yeah, I'm playing with the guys again. People love that. People have been asking for that for so long. And then when we uploaded it, it was like my worst performing videos probably this year. And I was like, oh, do people not want us to play together anymore? But I think it was just the game. I think not enough people know what it is. It's also a very confusing game because when we were playing it, it took me a while to actually figure out what the fuck was going on. And even by like the second episode, I was still like, oh, this is different than the first one. So I still had no idea what to do. So I think for audiences on YouTube these days, have you ever noticed that if you're ever watching a video, like a Mr. Beast video or any of those videos like that, all of those videos these days start with like, hey, we're here doing this. I'm going to set up all of the rules for the video, and then the video begins. Because onboarding your audience to what's going on in your video is such a large factor with YouTube these days. That's what drives the most traffic. Because it's not enough to just have an engaging premise. You have to explain it to people right from the beginning so they stay tuned into the video more. Because they're not in the video still trying to figure out the video as they're watching it. They just get the information immediately at the start, and then you start the video and you're just kind of like into it, and then it's like, okay, now I can enjoy it because I know what's going on. But I don't like doing that. There's some videos where I've had to do it because it's some games, yeah, are a little confusing, and we kept in the explanation for Wade for Devour. Yeah, like every Ludwig video. I mean, Ludwig got it from Mr. B. Same with Toast. Whenever there's a new like Among Us video with a new mod now, you spend like the start of that video explaining what that mod does instead of just like going straight into it, which does lead to a better user experience. But I just like kind of getting stuck into what I'm doing like immediately, unless the premise is like really hard. But I just stick to like Deer Simulator. It's like, even if I explained what was going on, it wouldn't make any sense. It's like you just get in and you watch a fun thing. Or like an indie horror game. It's like you don't really need to explain those. But the video I uploaded today, I kind of had to do it with. It was like the Google roulette thing. I don't know. I like when my YouTube videos are more organic. When it's like just sitting down and hanging out with me and there's less preamble about stuff, less foreplay. Because whenever I see that kind of stuff, it's like, it makes total sense and it works 100%. But for me, it always just feels a little too mechanical, and it's a bit too much like, I don't know, it feels like peering behind the curtain, like Wizard of Oz style a bit too much. That's why I like the Far Changing Tides kind of videos, or like really super long Let's Play episodes. Because it feels like the good old days when I was uploading stuff and it wasn't so much about like algorithms and thumbnails and titles and ideas and premise. It's just like good old fashioned fun of like sitting down with your friend and playing a whole game together, and then you end that and it's like, cool. And then you just wait for the next one. But I mean, clearly that's just not how YouTube is these days, and it's doing me a disservice sometimes to do that because, I don't know. I just like doing things my way, and it's like, I know what stuff will like trend, and I know what stuff does really well. Like Try Not to Laughs are always like the high in demand, and TikTok videos are always high in demand. They always do super well whenever we do them. But then it's like, if I do them all the time, then it's kind of boring. And I don't know, maybe it's dumb to like, I like challenging the algorithm a little bit, where it's like, I want to pick this random ass indie horror game or random ass like Deer Simulator or something like that. And if that hits the algorithm and pops off, then that feels better. Because I like when I can go to the trending tab, like the gaming trending tab, and someone like plays a random ass game and it's popped off and it's completely different than all the other ones that are in there. And I think that feels like a win. Because that happened with like There Is No Game. That was #1 on trending for gaming for me today. I say for me because it's always regional. It's like in the UK rather than worldwide. But then a lot of the other videos are like Minecraft, Among Us, Fortnite, FIFA. And I'm like, it feels good to have like this wacky, like unique game kind of at the top. Feels more fulfilling. I don't know, I've done that for years and I think I'll continue doing it. I did try, I think last year or the start of this year to be like, okay, what if I did try and like hit algorithm more, and if I tried to like do XYZ to see if it works, and it was working, but it just felt so soulless. I felt like the content I was uploading I wasn't really connected to. And I felt like people weren't really connected to it, and it felt like that sense of community, like this homegrown sort of feel that everyone's like, we're all like part of the same community. It felt like that was kind of like diverging if I was doing that, and I didn't want to do it anymore. Why is everyone saying Tommy? Oh, Tommy's here! Hello, Tom. Tom Simons. Tom, I was on a podcast recently and there's a joke in it about your microphone being shit. But it's just banter, okay? It's just jokes. Because, well, is it? You need to fix your microphone, okay? The podcast isn't out yet, but I'm sure people will clip it and send it to you when it's when it's out. Look, I don't care if you're happy or not. I'm not happy listening to your stream when you're screaming all the time and you're peaking your mic constantly. What do you think this is? 2014? I remember I used to, whenever I would record stuff years ago, like the Grand Theft Auto 5 days, and I'd like do it and I'd record in Audacity and everything was fine. And then I remember somebody pointed out to me that my mic was peaking all the time. And I looked at it and I was like, it is peaking all the time. Why have I never noticed that? I've been there, Tom. And I was much older than you when I figured it out, so. But I hope you're well. He's speaking from experience, 100%. As the former loudest man on YouTube, any new music you've been listening to? Nope, just Bo Burnham again. A year went by and I was like, okay, finally out of the bow hole of listening to the Inside album over and over again. And then he released the deluxe album. And I'm like, well, here I go bowing again. Former loudest man? Look, I've gotten a lot quieter than I used to be. Remember when I would just scream start to finish in a video? Nowadays, if I scream too hard, my throat hurts. Too old. No offense, but you're getting old. I just said that. Why would I take offense to something I said? No offense, me, but you're getting old. Damn. I'm gonna cancel you, me. We're not streaming any games? No. I have to get dinner soon. Evelyn still streaming? She's still going strong with Nancy? Oh no, she's playing observation duty, which means she's wrapping up. She's so good at that game. She's so good. She's the best of us. I've been meeting like a lot of like new people are like having conversations with them this year because like travel's opening up again and like hanging out with people and everything. And people are always like, "How are you and Evelyn doing?" Like just as random conversation. I'm like, "We're doing amazing." It's like, me and Evelyn have never argued about anything ever. And I'm like, how is that possible? That's crazy to me. It's like living together for the first time and then pandemic happens and you're like locked inside all the time. And it's like, that was an absolute joy instead of like, I don't know. It's like the amount of people who got stuck with their significant others over the pandemic and then the pandemic ended and they're like, okay, divorce time. We're breaking up because I spent 2 years with you indoors and I realized I actually don't like you that much. But with me and Evelyn, I was like, I think I like you like really, really a lot. Like, I think I like you more every day. Oh. Is this the stuff fairy tales are made of? It's so funny when we uploaded the like observation duty videos, some people come out and are like, stop trying to throw your relationship in our face. Like, stop trying to act cute all the time. I'm like, I'm sorry that your life is so miserable that you think that our genuine love for each other is anything other than an act. And I feel like for a long time I didn't talk about like relationship stuff in YouTube content and videos or online in general because I was always like, no, people always like have an opinion whenever I talk about it. And I'm like, no, I'm in a healthy, loving relationship that I'm very, very happy in that has made me a better person. And I'm going to talk about it all I want. But most people are absolutely wonderful about it. Everyone's so kind all the time. Whenever I do stuff with Evelyn, everyone's like, we love her. She's awesome. I think sometimes people like her more than they like me on my own channel. I'm like, I agree. You are short. Yep. I mean, compared to her, yes. We do love her, honestly. Me too. She's great. Zero, thank you so much for the gifted subs. I'm living in the future. I'm living in the future. Replay Outer Wilds? I didn't even play the whole thing on my channel. I did it in my spare time. That was a pandemic game for me. That game's awesome. I haven't played the DLC yet, though. I have been thinking of playing Soma, though. And then like a deep sea kind of like vibe. There's been like a couple of stuff coming out, like Iron Lung, and there's another one coming out called Silt that's out. That's like a limbo looking game that is like underwater. And that's kind of like deep sea terror. There was a couple of like indie horror games that I saw on Itch.io. They're kind of like deep sea terror as well. I'm like, maybe it's the time to play Soma. I played it on my own. And I really regret not playing it when it came out on the channel. Because everybody else was playing it. And everyone seemed to love it. But I just never did. Because I wasn't really like a big horror guy on my channel back then. It was like, I think the games I was uploading at that time were a lot more like one-offs, like silly deer sim, goat sim kind of games. And I was like, no one will watch Soma if I uploaded. And now I'm like, Soma is one of the greater games that I should upload. So many games. So yeah, maybe that. Because I'm kind of like, I'm trying to find like longer games that I can just kind of like vibe with that I'm really into. Because I think those make for better videos. Sonic Frontiers. Oh man, that game looks so bad. What happened? It looks like all of those, like, this is what this would look like in Unreal Engine 5. This is what Sonic would look like in Unreal Engine 5. And then they just made that game. Living in the future. What about Stray? I might play it. Evelyn's been really excited about it, but I don't know. It might be fun. We have Callisto Protocol is coming out in December, which is made by the original guys who made Dead Space. I mean, it's literally just a spiritual successor to Dead Space. It's like if the guys who were making Dead Space then suddenly got hit with copyright that they couldn't make Dead Space, and then they were like, okay, change a few things and we'll call it something else. And then Callisto Protocol was made, which is not a bad thing. It sounds like I'm saying it as a bad thing, but I love how much it looks like Dead Space because I adore that game and that franchise. So I'm glad if EA aren't going to do much more with it anymore except the remake, then I'm really glad that we get like a spiritual successor to that. I'm really excited for that. It comes out on the 2nd of December, I think. So I'll play that on my channel. And then we have Dead Space Remake comes out in January if it doesn't get pushed. All these will probably get pushed. And I'm excited for that. I'll probably play that on my channel as well. And then we have in March, Resi 4 Remake is coming out. So it's kind of crazy that out of those 3 games, 2 of them are remakes. So I'll hopefully play all 3 of those on my channel. Definitely Callisto Protocol and Resi 4. Because I did Resi 2 and 3 remake, and it would be dumb if I didn't do 4 as well. Have you ever played Hollow Knight? Yeah, I played that in my own time as well. That was another pandemic game. That game was a lot better than I was giving it credit for when I streamed it randomly years ago. I streamed it for like 1 stream and then went away and I was like, yeah, I don't think it's for me. But I just never got... There was like a certain hump that I got over that was suddenly I was like, man, I can't stop fucking playing this game. Yeah, we're doing Sussy Sundays tomorrow. Ray and Toast always organize these sort of Among Us lobbies for Sunday called Sussy Sundays. And I'm going to be there tomorrow. I don't think I'll stream it. I think I'll just... Streaming Among Us is too stressful. It makes me anxious. And I feel like I have PTSD from streaming it before. Where it's like... Because... I'm horribly insecure about my own intelligence, and always have been. And now, of course, I figure out that it's ADHD related, and I never knew that my whole life. I feel like I probably should have, but I always felt like I was like dumb growing up. And then whenever you play a game like Among Us, where it's all about like, it's kind of like social intelligence and deducing things and putting 1 and 2 together and like mapping things out, and like. I'm just there for shits and giggles and I don't remember where the fuck I've been or what I did or who's doing what. But it got too intense. And then especially with chat being here and everyone being like, oh my God, how did you not see that? And I'm like, I don't know. Normally I'm able to like brush stuff off quite easily and it doesn't bother me. But when I came to that game, it just got too emotional for me at one point. And I was like, I don't want to play it anymore like that way, seriously. So I think for tomorrow we're doing proximity chat as well. So that'll be fun. Don't get me wrong. Most times it's totally fine. Like, I'll miss stuff in games all the time and people will say that it's dumb and whatever, but I'll be like, yeah, I should have seen that, whatever. There was like a tape in Poppy Playtime that I literally like walked over and watching the video back, I'm like, how the fuck did I miss that? But Among Us was just a special beast because you also have everybody else's audiences all watching it all at the same time. Oh yeah, we get the Quarry soon. Oh, I'm so excited. That's the game made by the people who did Until Dawn. And Man of Medan and Little Hope and House of Ashes. But this is not part of the Dark Anthology one where it's like 2 or 3 hours long. This is like a full like successor to Until Dawn. Where it's like one group for one game for one entire experience and not moving on too quickly. And it's like an 80s sort of like camp, kind of like Friday the 13th, that kind of vibe, or like the Fear Street movies where it's like the 80s summer camp kind of vibe. I don't know if it's a slasher. I think it is because I think all of them kind of are. But slasher is like a very specific kind of subgenre of that. And I think it is. But I'm really, really excited to play through that on the channel. What's it called? It's called The Quarry. The Quarry. Because I have such fond memories of playing Until Dawn on my channel. Fun story about that, actually. I almost didn't play it because I was going to PAX West when it was coming out. And it had just released. And I was like, yeah, maybe. And I was like, no, I don't really have time. I have all the stuff that I was going to record. I have all the stuff that I was going to prep for PAX already done, and I'll just focus on those and the trip. And then it came out, and then I think Mark and Felix both uploaded it, and I saw some of it, and I was like, oh man, that looks so fun. And I was like, okay, let's see if I can get some of it recorded before I go. I was leaving like the next morning, and I recorded like 3 hours of it, and I edited all 3 of those and uploaded them and did the thumbnails like that day. And then I went, and then people love that series on the channel now, and I came back and like finished it off after PAX. So I managed to like make it seem seamless in the middle of all of that, but it wasn't at all. It looked like I had like prepped it for that trip, and it came out at the perfect time, but it wasn't. It was such a mad dash to get that uploaded. And when I came back then, I was like, man, I'm so glad people liked it. And I just did the rest of the series. Now I have such fond memories of recording that game. Until Dawn is still their best game, I think. I kind of wish they just called the new one Until Dawn 2. I think you could have just called it that. I don't think anyone would have blamed them, but maybe they just want to keep making new stuff. Would you play with Felix anymore? I mean, yeah, but he's in Japan now, so the time zone makes it a lot harder. By the time I'm like starting up my day and like getting ready to record and stuff, he's already going to bed, and vice versa. So it doesn't really work. I think more so for like reacting to TikTok things again, like we did before, trying to make each other laugh. I think that would be better than gameplay stuff. After Dawn or Until Dusk. Just call it Until Dawn 2. It's just a bunch of kids at a summer camp. Something happens at nighttime and you have to survive until dawn. That's easy. You can just keep doing those. Will I ever play Life is Strange again? Nah. I kind of got burnt out in that series. I liked Life is Strange 1 enough that I got through it and I wanted to see the end of it. But then Before the Storm, I didn't like. And then Life is Strange 2, I also didn't really like. And I know the new one's supposed to be better and all that, but I don't have any energy for it. Really enjoyed your Elden Ring videos? Yay! I'm glad you did. I'm glad I uploaded that. I'm glad I played that for the channel. Because I'd been playing it so much in my spare time that I was like, no one's going to watch it if I... Well, not... I keep saying that. It's not that no one's going to watch it, but I felt like I had known so much about the game by the time I got to playing it for a series that I was like, this is just a different experience. But since I did Bloodborne that way, and people loved that, I was like, why not? New Death Stranding was announced. Yeah, I saw Norman Reedus accidentally leaked it, saying they're working on the second one when he wasn't supposed to. But we'll see what happens. I like the first one enough. It definitely has its problems, and it was a little longer. Like, I really, really enjoyed recording that for YouTube. I feel like as a series... I feel like recording it as a series made me like the game more because you guys were all so into it. And it was like a podcast kind of thing. I keep saying it that way because it felt like there was so much walking and like doing not a whole lot in it, like from A to B sometimes, that it was just so nice to kind of stream of consciousness talk. and people were there for that vibe and kind of just chilled out and sat back and like would put it on in the background doing work or cleaning their house or something like that. And I feel like because of that factor, it made it more fun to do. And I was one of the few people actually like legitimately taking it seriously and playing through the whole thing on YouTube, that I like sat down and took notes and like went through all the like notes in the game to like come up with my own theories, and then would like expunge that at the start of an episode. And that was super fun to do, and that made it a way more pleasurable experience for YouTube than I think if I had just played that on my own in my house in my spare time. I don't think I would have liked it as much. So yeah, we'll probably play the second one. What series am I most proud of to date? It's a good question. It used to be just an easy answer, which was always Undertale, and it might still be Undertale for a lot of different factors, but I'm very proud of the God of War series because I had like brushed up on some Norse mythology before that game came out, and then when I was playing it, like specifically for the game so I could understand what was going on and which characters were which, because Greek mythology I kind of knew already, so playing the originals was fun that way. And then when that game came out, I didn't realize it was going to be such a big series for the channel back then, obviously. Actually, that goes for every single thing that I've uploaded. There's no games that have done really well on my channel that I sat down and was like, this is going to be huge. It's always kind of been like, we'll see if people like it. Or any of the ones that I thought were going to be huge and then aren't. So you can never really predict it. But when I was playing that game, I was like, I felt like I kind of knew what I was talking about while I was playing it. I was decent enough at the game, but not so good at it that like you just power through. I felt like what I mean is that the series had like a good pace to it. For God of War, that is. And then when that series was done, I was so happy with it. It was the first time I tried like 2-hour episodes for videos, and people were super into that. I had done stuff before like Life is Strange where it's all in one, but for like a longer series where it's 2 hours per episode instead of an hour, it was like trying out a new thing, and people loved it. And then people were super into the series. We had like that inside joke of dad of boy, which now is like a massive meme everywhere. And then I was just really, really into it. I'm a huge fan of the God of War series anyway. And then after that series was done, Cory Barlog, who directed the game, came out on Twitter and said that my series on it was really good and that I knew what I was talking about. And that solidified it as like, okay, that's an all-time great series now for me because of all of these different factors. And then I followed Cory and met him at the Game Awards, and we've kind of talked back and forth since, and it's been great. The amount of really cool people I've met that I look up to and respect hugely because of this job, and like because I play one of their games or mention them in a video, it's wild. It's the same with some games that I've gotten to be in, like Poppy Playtime. I'm like, put me in the game. Like, kind of serious, but mainly joking. And then most times it works out and I'm like, oh, this is not the way I want people to like think that you're supposed to get roles for things, like badgering people on Twitter or in about their game, being like, let me be in it. And then they're like, okay. But I still think Undertale is probably my proudest series on the channel. I mean, I've talked about it a bunch, like not knowing that it would do well. And it was such a different type of game. And then I was kind of like playing it for myself, and then it turned into a massive thing. And then people really loved the voices for the characters that I did. And for some people, those are like the only voices they hear now. Like a lot of that stuff is just really, really flattering. And I feel like it's a very, very good series. The fact that I did both routes, and I feel like I saw most of the game. There's a couple of jokes and a couple of things here and there that I missed, but I think I got a lot of it. I think I took the game seriously, and I was very passionate about it in the series. It was a lot of like genuine enthusiasm instead of having to like force yourself through something just because people want it. I don't do that a whole lot or very often at all, but there's definitely some series that people like more than I like. But like God of War and Undertale are not those. I was super into those series. And I think you can tell. I think that that's why they've been so successful, because it was just fun start to finish. I'm really excited for God of War Ragnarok. And that's one of those things that you'd think, oh yeah, that's definitely going to do well for you then, because the first one did so well and people will be like waiting for it. And then I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I can never tell. But that's part of the fun of it, because I'm not like going in with expectations then. My proudest series on my channel is Try Not to Laugh. Remember episode 2 where that video showed up and I didn't laugh at it? Yeah, there's a couple, I'm going down through my list. There's a couple that are like way bigger than I thought they would be. Like Sally Face getting like 10 million views. That's crazy. I guess they're just such old videos by now that everyone had a chance to watch them. Sarah is Missing has 9.7 million. That's wild. That's cool. Very fun to see. I don't go back through my videos ever. Oh man, am I hungry. I think it's time to call it, guys, and get some food. And then get ready to go see Top Gun, baby! Highway to the danger zone. I'm excited. Movie night! It's like my favorite thing to do, is just sit down and watch a movie. But thanks for being here. I know it's a random stream, but I had nothing else really going on today, and all of my recordings kind of got fucked, so here we are. But yeah, again, thanks for showing up. I don't know if I'll ever stream again, ever. This could be the last one that ever goes up on my Twitch, or I could stream again next week. You never know. It's all fucking random. But any of you who were here to just kind of hang out and chat and be here for the vibes, thank you. I appreciate you. You're the best. And thanks for all the subs and stuff as well. Again, you don't need to do that because I'm not here very often. But if that's your way of showing support, then I greatly appreciate it. So thank you. And I will leave you in... Actually, should we raid somebody? Because I'm never live. I never get to raid. I never get to raid anybody. You know what? Ryan is live. Ryan Higa is playing Valorant, and I used to play with him all the time. Does that work? Is that how you raid people? Yeah, I almost forgot. Yeah, I leave you here now in the capable hands of Ryan, who's a very funny man and very nice and very good at Valorant. So be nice to him and say good things. Okay, bye-bye, my babies. Bye-bye.